Hello, Year 6. Welcome to your literacy lesson for Wednesday. We are carrying on today in the train book if you've got this one. If you've got the monkey book, then I will go over yours after. You've all been doing really well with your reading comprehensions recently. Some of these in this book are really tricky. So you're doing a really good job. Well done. So our learning question for today is, can I answer inference questions on a text? Now, inference, we've done retrieval. Retrieval is where we find the answer in the text. Inference is when the answer's not always obvious. We've got to do a little bit of thinking and infer the meanings. We've got to find it by reading through the lines almost. Okay, so we're on pages 20 and 21 today. And you might have noticed that it just says questions 1 to 4. They're the only ones you're doing in your book. So you're going to do the first half of the reading comprehension today, because then I've got another couple of questions for you, just because I want to practice a certain skill with you today. Okay, so your starter, like we usually do, is to go through and have a really good read of any words and, well, highlight any words that you're unfamiliar with. Okay, I want you to make notes around the edge of what words you're unsure of, and then use dictionary.com to find out what they mean. Okay, so your text today then is a letter from E.B. White. So it says Charlotte's Web was written by American author E.B. White. It tells the story of a pig called Wilbur who makes an unlikely friendship with a spider called Charlotte. This letter was written by E.B. White, who was asked by his editor to explain why he wrote this book. Okay, so his editor then has asked him why he wrote the book Charlotte's Web. Okay, I think most of us are probably quite familiar with the book Charlotte's Web or the film. So you have a good read through that then, and like I just said, highlight any words that you're unfamiliar with and find out what they mean. And then, so that I can test whether you've had a good go at that and you have highlighted all the words you're unfamiliar with, I have done a Kahoot quiz for you. Okay, so once you've highlighted them all, you've been on dictionary.com, you can log on Kahoot, type in this game pin, and you will see that I have set up a quiz for you all about word meaning. So I have read through this text really carefully and picked out all the words I think you might struggle with. Okay, and then I've popped a question on and I've given you multiple choice answers, and then you need to choose which one the correct answer is. Okay, so I want you to log on and have a good go. There's only 10 questions, so it shouldn't take you too long. Don't forget to put your proper name in for me, just so that I can see who's had a good go, because it'll pop up on my computer. It'll tell me who's done it, what percentage you got, and which questions you might have struggled with. So make sure you go on and have a good go, and then I'll be able to send you a marvellous me. Okay, so moving on then to your questions for today. So question 1 says, why do you think E.B. White says that animals are a weakness with him? So I've snipped the bit of text that's got this part in. So it says, I have been asked to tell how I came to write Charlotte's Web. Well, I like animals, and it would be odd if I failed to write about them. Animals are a weakness with me, and when I got a place in the country, I was quite sure animals would appear, and they did. Okay, so the question then says, why does he say that animals are a weakness? Okay, so have you ever heard anybody say something like, oh, chocolate is my weakness? Okay, it's because they really like it. They can't stay away from it almost. Okay, that's definitely my case. Chocolate is definitely my weakness. Okay, so it says here, well, I like animals, and it would be odd if I failed to write about them. Animals are a weakness. So your clue here is I like animals. So you can use that to help you answer question 1. Okay? Question 2 then is a word meaning question. Now this is the skill that I want us to go over today. So question 2 says, what do you think the word corrupted in line 9 means? Check your answer in a dictionary. So let's have a look at the part of the text that has got corrupted in. So it's here. So I'm going to read this whole paragraph because I think it will help us with our understanding of this word. So it says, as for Charlotte herself, I had never paid much attention to spiders until a few years ago. Once you begin watching spiders, you haven't time for much else. The world is really loaded with them. I do not find them repulsive or revolting any more than I find anything in nature repulsive or revolting. And I think it's too bad that children are often corrupted by their elders in this hate campaign. Spiders are skillful, amusing, and useful, and only in rare instances has anybody ever come to grief because of a spider. Okay, so corrupted then in our question is here. Okay, so, but E.B. White then is saying that there's nothing wrong with spiders, isn't he? Okay, and he's saying that it's a shame that children are often corrupted by their elders in this hate campaign. So elders then is somebody older. That was on your quiz, wasn't it? So somebody older than you, so maybe parents or grandparents. So I think this is something to do with influencing. So if you influence somebody, then you're trying to get them to think a different way. Okay, so I think it's too bad that children are often influenced by their elders. So I'd say it's something to do with influencing in a bad way. So maybe negatively influencing. So you can write something like that for question 2. Okay, we're going to have another go. You're going to have a go at some of those kinds of questions by yourself for 5 and 6. I'll come to those in a minute. Okay, number 3 then is on the same part. So it says, how does E.B. White explain that many children come to dislike spiders? So it's on the same part. So we've just talked about it, haven't we? But E.B. White thinks there's nothing wrong with spiders. There's nothing to be scared of. There's nothing repulsive or revolting about them. She thinks that children only dislike spiders because they are corrupted by their elders. So they only dislike spiders because their elders don't like them, because their parents or grandparents don't like spiders. Okay, so you can use something like that for your answer to question 3. Question 4 then says E.B. White describes spiders' webs as embroidery. Why do you think he chose this word? So this one is kind of a word meaning question as well. So let's have a look where it says it. So it says, at the present time, 3 of Charlotte's granddaughters are trapping at the foot of the stairs in my barn cellar, where the morning light coming through the east window illuminates their embroidery and makes it seem even more wonderful than it is. So for this one, I want you to go back onto dictionary.com and type in embroidery. Find out what that means, have a think what it looks like, and then go back to this part and think, why do you think he chose this word? Think about how he feels about spiders. Why has he chosen that word? Okay, you have a go at that one. So the 2 questions that I've written for you then that you can have a go at on a piece of paper are like this. So question 5, I've copied a sentence from the text and then I've picked out one word that I want you to tell me the meaning of. So a bit like we did for question 2. So question 5 says, I got a stepladder and an extension light and I had an excellent view of the whole business. Your question is, what is the meaning of the word excellent in this sentence? Now, I've chosen this one because I know you all already know the meaning of excellent. You haven't got to look it up, so you can just practice answering the question. So what is the meaning of the word excellent in this sentence? So your answer just needs to be something like, it means, but then you can't use the word excellent. Okay, you've got to use a different word that means something similar. Okay. So I'll pause. You can pause your video now so that you can write your answer to that question. Okay. Question 6 then, your last reading question for today is this one. The world is really loaded with them. What is the meaning of the word loaded in this sentence? Okay, so for that one, you just need to write something like it means something. Okay, you might want to write a phrase. So you might want to write something like it means there is something of spiders. Okay, it's up to you. You might want to go back to the text and find where that is, and that might help you. Okay, so you can pause the video now and have a go at question 6. Okay, so don't forget then when you send me your picture of your work today, take a picture of the first 4 in your book and then take a picture of the extra 2 on a piece of paper as well. Okay, so that's your reading work for today. If you are in the book with the monkey on the front, then your next text is pages 22 and 23. Ignore this. I've forgotten to change it. So 22 and 23, and it's on the text habitats. Okay, so we are continuing today to answer retrieval questions. Okay, so your text looks like this. You've got some different habitats. Okay, your first thing to do is find out what habitats means, because there's no point in reading through this if you don't know what a habitat is. So if you read this very top bit above your text, it will tell you what a habitat is. Okay, let's have a look then. So your first question says, why do you think it is difficult for animals to live in desert habitats? So for this one, you need to make sure you go to the right section of the text. So if we're being asked about a desert, you need to make sure you go to the bit that says desert in it. Okay, so why do you think it is difficult for animals to live in desert habitats? So it says a desert habitat is somewhere that doesn't get a lot of rain. There aren't many plants and it's difficult for animals to live there. Okay, so it is difficult for animals to live there. Okay, but remember our question was asking, why do we think it's difficult for animals to live there? So that's not our answer. So there aren't many plants might be your answer, or it doesn't get a lot of rain. That could be an answer. Okay, so you could choose one of those to answer question 1. Question 2 says, what is the biggest tropical rainforest in the world? So for this one, make sure you go to tropical rainforest, and in there somewhere it will tell you what the biggest one in the world is. Okay, question 3 then, you need to look at both of these bits of information. So you need to look at desert and you need to look at tropical rainforest, because it's asking for a difference between a desert and a rainforest. Okay, let's have a look. Well, here I can see in rainforest it says that a rainforest gets a lot of rain. But I know I've just read in the desert one that the desert doesn't get a lot of rain. Okay, so if the desert doesn't get rain, or a lot of rain, and the rainforest does get a lot of rain, then that's a difference, isn't it? Okay, so you can use that one if you want to, or you can carry on reading and see if you can find a different one. Okay, so I think you are going to be absolutely fine with 4, 5 and 6. Just make sure you go to the right section in your text. The last one, number 7, says, can you think of another wild animal that has learnt to live in an urban habitat? So I've snipped the urban habitat part, and it says here, lots of people live in urban habitats, but animals like rats and pigeons have learnt how to live in them too. Okay, so we've been given rats and pigeons, but your question says, can you think of another wild animal? So you're not allowed to write rats or pigeons. You've got to have a think of another animal that lives in a city or a town. Okay, and you can write that on that line. Okay, so that's your reading for today. Your word power work for today, then, if you've got a word power book, we are carrying on with sticking words together, and we are moving on to page 25. Sorry, I was obviously half asleep this morning. We're moving on to page 25. We did page 24 yesterday. Okay, so 25 then, we're carrying on with sticking words together, so we're carrying on with looking at compound words. Don't worry if you haven't got a word power book, you can carry on in your handwriting and keep trying to make that handwriting as good as it can be. Okay, let's have a look then. So the first one says, can you make up some different meanings for these words? So a sunset could be a set of suns. So I've got a couple here that I thought we could do together, and then you can have a go at the ones in your book. So let's split it up then. So a sunset was a set of suns. So a hairbrush would be a brush of hairs. I mean, that is really what a hairbrush is, isn't it? Yeah. This one then, a footprint. It would be a print. I'm going to have to change that though, aren't I? Because a print of foots doesn't make sense. We wouldn't have plural foots, would we? We'd have a print of feet, which again is what a footprint is, isn't it? It's a print of your feet in the floor. Okay, so I want you now to have a go at armchair and tablespoon. They sound like they might be quite funny, so I look forward to seeing what you write for those. Okay, let's have a look at the next bit then. Sometimes writers make up their own compound words. So this little passage of information then says, "Excuse me," said the elephant's child most politely, "but have you seen such a thing as a crocodile in these promiscuous parts?" "Have I seen a crocodile?" said the bicoloured python rock snake in a voice of dreadful scorn. "What will you ask me next?" Okay, so it says, what do you think a bicoloured python rock snake could be? And then there's a little clue at the side that says, look at the different parts of the word. Okay, so I've written it on here so we can split it up. So bi is when there's more than one of something. Okay, so for example, if you are a bilingual person, that means you can speak more than one language. Okay, so that means more than one, and coloured, we know what coloured means. So that means it's got lots of different colours. It's a python rock snake. Okay, so I want you to break it down and think carefully what it could be. This could maybe be to do with what it looks like, maybe the colour. Okay, or yeah, it's up to you. So I think it could be multicoloured large snake, something like that. Okay, the next bit then says Professor Wiggins has invented a machine that makes whole meals by itself. He was going to call it Wiggins Super Duper Whizzy Machine. Instead, he calls it Auto Chef. Why do you think he chose the compound word to name his invention? Okay, so let's have a look at the word then. Auto Chef. Let's break the word up. So auto means like automatically. It does it by itself. Does it straight away. Okay. Okay, so automatically. It just automatically does it without any help. And a chef makes food, doesn't it? Okay, so now we've split the word up. Have a think why you think Mr. Wiggins, Professor Wiggins, has chosen to call it Auto Chef rather than Wiggins Super Duper Whizzy Machine. Okay? And then the bottom one says, how could you try to work out what a compound word means? Well, have a think. What did we just do here? We split it up, didn't we? So if you split it up and think about what they mean separately, that will help you to work out what a compound word means. Okay? So that's all of your literacy work for today. Don't forget to send me some pictures. I love seeing how well you've done, and don't forget to log on and do that Kahoot quiz. I will be sending out lots of marvellous me's. See you tomorrow.